Hello, everyone. Susan Gerbic from Psychics Explained. This is attempt number 4 to make this video. So, YouTube has these rules for copyright. When you use somebody's video of whatever, you can't just put it up on YouTube and claim it as yours unless you have fair use. You're making a review, you're commenting on it, and if you alter the video and so on, then it's okay. But you have to fight that out with these people. So this is attempt number 4. So the video I'm going to show you is altered a lot. I have had to change the speed of the voices, and I've had to change it to black and white. I've made a mono. I've added some grain on it. But I think it's important to do this because we need to educate ourselves on what is happening in the mediumship world. And Tyler Henry is one of the biggest people out there who is gaining views. So it's important that I do this, even though this is my 4th attempt. Anyway, so I have a playlist for Tyler Henry if you want to watch that and understand where I'm coming from with my views on Tyler Henry. I've been following him since 2016 when he was 19 years old, when he first started, very, very first. I've written dozens of articles for Skeptical Inquirer about Tyler Henry. I have added many videos about breaking down his readings. And today is no exception. I believe that he is hot reading and doing it in such a way that is so simple that it's very hard to believe that people can't pick up on it. But people are primed to believe that this is real. They come from a world where, life after death is a thing and that should be able to communicate with them. Also, a lot of people, believe it or not, have the view that if it's on the internet, like on TV, then it must be real. And that there's no way that E-Network or Netflix would put something up on the internet unless they've checked it, put it out on their broadcast unless they've checked it to be real. I know, 2025, we're in this world and people think that it must be real because some authority says it's real. It's an entertainment channel. So, So what we're going to do is I'm going to show you this heavily edited video. His voice is not this squeaky. And we're going to watch it and I'm going to break it up and have some commentary as I go. It is about 13 minutes long, what they've released on YouTube. But keep in mind that the video itself, the interview he does with Moby, is probably closer to 45 minutes to an hour and a half. So they edit it down. Believe it or not, there are people out there who are editing it down for content. And they're trying to make it so that Tyler looks as good as possible in this. Not attractiveness, but as accurate as possible. Because they all have an agenda. Everybody on the show wants to keep the show going. So they're going to make him sound as believable as possible. I want you to pay very close attention to the music cues, which is part of the reason why I think that YouTube wants to, had to leave all the music cues in, which demonetizes the video. In other words, I'm not getting 10 cents for every time you watch it. I'm not going to be, making a lot of money on this. In fact, I never make hardly more than maybe $2 or $3 on each video I have out there. But when you're watching a video on YouTube for Tyler Henry or whomever, remember you're making a few cents for every view. So they want to continue making this content, and it turns into thousands and thousands of dollars over, a period of time. Not for me, but for these places that are also making money on Netflix or wherever else it's released. So it's about money and it's about power. Now, I don't know who Moby is. I've heard the name. I wouldn't have a clue what instrument he played, except that I've looked over his Wikipedia page and apparently it's a guitar. And I really don't know who he is. What we're going to see, I'm going to start this off with, is Tyler Henry always says he doesn't know who he's going to be doing a reading for that day. And when he shows up, you see the cameras and him greeting the person for the very first time, which is why, I don't know. Why not just show up doing the reading? But he has to greet them, and he has to make some kind of statement like, oh, I didn't know I was going to be meeting you today. And sometimes he says, I don't know who you are, which is silly. Since 2016, he is the Hollywood medium. He's of course he knows who these people are. And he has and it looks like they just go in and sit down. Now he says he knows who Moby is in this case, but he doesn't act like he knows a lot about him. So they come in, he greets them, they go sit down. That's what it looks like. But actually there's at least, I don't know, 40 minutes, maybe an hour or more, where they're fiddling around with the microphones, getting the lighting just right, and so on. So in that period of time, it is very likely, before they actually sit down and get the cameras rolling, that Tyler is saying, oh, let me take a pee break real quick. Takes his phone, goes and reads the Wikipedia page for whoever his client is. So he may not know who he's going to read that day before he gets there. But once he's there, there's no controls of any kind. This isn't a gotcha show. He could easily look this up. And you don't have to know a lot. You just have to know the basics. A quick read of even like the beginning and the end of a Wikipedia page, you know, the early life about his family, and then the end where it's usually, you know, about relationships and that kind of thing. Moby has a huge Wikipedia page. So there's so much information on it. And I know that people who hot read, in other words, psychics who are getting information, I know that it's likely that they would have a subscription to a find a person kind of thing. And you just put in their name and it gives you more details about who's who in their lives and stuff. It's very simple. You guys can do it even with a free version of some of these find a person. Intellus is the one that Thomas John used to use. And I know he used to use it because he showed us his desktop and you could see Intellus was on his computer pinned. I have a video on it and a Skeptical Inquirer article on it, should you want to see that. Why would a psychic need to do that? I don't know. Why would a psychic need to have a people finder on their computer? I don't know. So let's get started. Pay close attention to the sound, because the music cues are telling me, when to be emotional, when to be surprised, when to have a tear. Okay, let's start.
Hi, hello.
Moby, hi.
Great to meet you,
Tyler?
Moby. Oh my gosh, yes.
Come on in.
Wow, oh wow. I recognize you. Oh my gosh, I never recognized.
A lot of us little bald guys look the same.
Oh my gosh.
I'm Moby, and we're here at my restaurant, Little Pine, in Los Angeles. And I guess most people would know me as a musician. Wow. Thanks for coming over. I was a philosophy major in college. I taught Bible study for a long time. I guess I've just been obsessed with spirituality, and so I'm much more interested in whatever sort of meaning or significance might exist beyond our quotidian daily experience.
Wow. Have you ever had a reading before?
I've never been to a medium. Yeah, so this is my first time.
Awesome, great. Well, I'm gonna pop your cherry.
Yeah. To be honest with you, I know almost nothing about what I'm entering into, but I think I'm here just for the direct experience of having the reading done.
You know, I always kind of like to explain the process on how I work, because everyone does it so differently. I like to focus on the sentimental details that nobody could possibly know. The less I know about you, the better. Don't feel like you have to hold back, but just don't give away too much information. I think it's really important to have a healthy degree of skepticism, because I think that's how we learn.
I wouldn't necessarily say I'm skeptical, though. I'm just open.
Awesome.
I'm neither a believer, nor am I closed off,
awesome.
Skeptical, saying you need to prove yourself to me. I'm just I'd say benignly open.
Awesome.
Okay, that's what we would call a mark. Somebody who is so open that they're willing to take Tyler's word for it, basically. You'll see. So one of the things that I and people in the scientific skepticism community really want to do is we want to inoculate people about scams and about misinformation. Now, we can't go out and debunk every single thing because the scams are always changing. Just look at your phone. You get a text message or an email or something in the mail, or somebody comes to your door. It's just rampant. And people have been doing scams for forever, trying to get one over on their fellow human being. And so what we want to do is we want to at least tell you what to look for, to be aware of. And in this case, I don't think Moby's had that experience. He hasn't necessarily, at least according to him, he's very spiritual and he's very open, and it's not unusual for him or for people not to have had a mediumship reading, but to be so ready to take on whatever it is that happens as evidence is odd. I mean, I find that hard to believe that somebody's become an adult and a successful adult, and they're just don't have a lot of skepticism about things. Now, maybe mediumship's completely different from other things, or maybe has very good handlers. I don't know. But also keep in mind that the people that are on the Tyler Henry show are people who have had a lot of fame in the past, and they aren't currently getting a lot of media attention. And they'd like to get a lot of media attention. In fact, I believe what's going on is their agents are getting them onto this TV show. So for Moby to be in front of the camera again so that people go, oh, what happened to him? Oh, gee, I like his work. I'm going to listen to it. Oh, maybe I'll buy this album he has or whatever it is he does. Click on his views of his YouTube videos so that he can get 10 cents a view or whatever it is. So they want to get in front of people again. And this is a good avenue to do it. So Moby, even if he was skeptical, can't be skeptical, not completely, unless he's going to have at the end, oh, I was skeptical all the time, and oh my gosh, now I'm a true believer, because they want to make the show. I mean, Tyler Henry's show, if they had to burn one of these things, like they shot it, they filmed it, they spent a few days on it, and then they had to burn it because they didn't get anything, or the person was just like, no, I'm not buying any of this, this is just hot reading, then it just wouldn't air. And people who want to be on the show also would like to be on the trailer, to get the biggest portion of whatever advertising they're doing for this show. So it is important that they are playing along, even if they aren't truly believing. So, it's up to, I don't know, you guys can watch this video in full if you want, but, and tell me what you think, if not the video I'm doing, but the full video that I've cut from, and tell me what you think, if Moby's really, really into this or not. I think he is. He just seems that type. But then what do I know? I'm not psychic. So let's go back over, and what we're going to see is Tyler is doing his normal. They throw out I'm getting a mother, father figure and older woman, older man thing, and then they start going from there. So it is some cold reading. You can see which way that Moby wants to go by looking at his facial expressions, his body language, and so on. But mostly it's just Tyler already knows the information going in on this, and he's just steering it through. I'm only going to show you about 7 minutes. The video that is up on YouTube is about 13 minutes. And then, like I said, there's probably 45 minutes cut out, 30 to 45 minutes cut out because it wasn't good. Maybe they had to re-say something. I don't think these are scripted, but I do think that they could say, oh, let me say that again. I could say that better or whatever. All right. So let's get to where the heart-rendering stuff is. Now, again, keep paying attention to the sound that you don't normally listen to, you don't normally notice, but it's completely there.
But what's interesting is I have two distinct energies that I need to kind of highlight. And one I would view as being, very maternal, and the other is very paternal. But they come through separately, not together. Dad's side's kind of trying to pop in. Do anyone has any New Jersey connections on your dad's side?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
My grandmother on my father's side lived in New Jersey,
Right.
and my father was from New Jersey.
Okay.
I don't know.
Sure. No problem.
So
We'll work with it.
Yeah.
Okay. The thing I want to mention is that he comes through as like dad. So is your father actually passed away?
Yes.
Okay. There's two James I have to highlight that I want to mention, but it's connected to that.
My
two James.
I don't know about the second James, but my father's name was James.
Okay. There's an acknowledgement that this man has a very close connection to you, but he's had a closer connection to you on the other side than he ever got to in life, in the way that this comes across. And
Are you
he
sure? Are you
references-
sure we've never met before?
I'm pretty sure. That side on your dad's side does have, as all families do, some element of dysfunction. There's an acknowledgement on his end of family that there were multiple alcoholics on multiple generations that I need to highlight.
Am I allowed to talk?
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
My father died when I was 2, and my father died very drunk because he was an alcoholic, and he died in a car accident when he was driving.
Wow, okay. If there's any message from Dad, it's just he takes accountability and understands what contributed to his passing. And in the way that this comes across, he feels like the man that you've been able to become, he is so immensely proud of because you've had to do so much on your own.
My dad died when I was 2, and my aunts and uncles who remember him told me that he was very quick-witted, really funny, like just super sharp, but also a troubled, heavy drinker.
Okay, so how does Tyler know all that? Let's look. And this is just a couple minutes worth of looking. So here we have right here on the Wikipedia page for Moby. It has down here his early life and influences. It tells you when he was born, where he was born. It's not New Jersey, but that can't be hard to find, I'm sure. His father's name is James. Right there. Now, we don't know if there's a second James in the family. James is a very common name, so it wouldn't be unlikely. He died in a car crash while drunk when Moby was 2. Boom, right there. And if you go back through and you read more of this Wikipedia page, you'll see that there's a lot of references to a troubled life that Moby had. Troubled life being raised by his mother. They didn't have a lot of money. His mother went boy crazy. It's all in this Wikipedia article. So let's go back to what we were talking about. Oh, that Tyler is always going to follow up with, oh, it's some platitude. Oh, he's watching you. He's seen you turn into the man that he just admires so much, you know. I remember him doing this to Matt Lauer. Your father, he admires you so much. Yeah, Matt Lauer, who was fired not soon after that for abusing his employees and cheating on his wife multiple times and just really bad stuff. So, but Dad is watching over you, and what a wonderful human being you've become. Okay. Are you hearing all the boom? It's like a very slow, like a bass drum. Boom. Every time there's a hit, it's like boom. Listening to that. This part, really pay attention to what he talks about. When Moby says something, Tyler says, right. Right. Now, you and I do that in dialogue all the time. Yeah. Okay. Oh, yeah. Oh, you know, we say those kinds of things. It's a human thing we do. But in Tyler's case, it sounds more like he's saying, oh, that's what I was just told. Yeah, you're confirming what I already knew because I was just told that. Let's listen in.
So we're going to take this to the next level because I have a lot more kind of coming through. Okay. So, do you know if there's a Liz in the family at all? To your knowledge?
Yeah, without question. That's my mom and the woman who painted this.
Oh, okay, great.
Yeah.
Awesome.
This is insane. He's right on every single thing.
For what it's worth, everything you've said so far has been lovely but disconcertingly accurate.
No worries. We'll see. I mean,
No, in a good way.
Good.
Yeah. So my mom painted this of me. I think it might have been the only portrait that she ever really painted that I sat for.
I love that. What an amazing moment to get to capture. And it has so much meaning, and that oftentimes really makes a big difference when I'm holding on to an object. This is interesting the way this comes across. Now, there is a woman who comes down your mom's side who references to an illness, and this is like referencing to decline. There is a reference to cancer that I need to mention on your mom's side, and then we talk about this being rapid or quick. In the last month, I feel like everything kind of speeds up. Do you know who had the cancer that ultimately affected the lungs?
My mom.
Okay. Now, the thing that comes through with this is there's an acknowledgement of a scan and missing a scan. As in, like, if we get a scan and everything looks fine, and then we end up having to need another and we, like, reveal something as being wrong.
Okay.
That's kind of the gist that comes through. But there's...
That's very specific.
Yes.
It's also accurate.
Yes.
Yeah, had been a smoker her whole life.
Right.
And then she had terrible respiratory problems.
Right.
And her HMO kept saying, oh, it's a cold.
Right.
It's like months and months would go by and they'd say, oh, you have a cold, you have bronchitis.
Right.
Basically, they waited like 4 months to do any tests for cancer.
Right.
And I guess that's technically why she died so young.
Sure, and to her, I mean, as a person going through this experience, I think it was important for her now for it to be known that she knows that though things could have been done differently, ultimately she was going to pass away anyway. Mm-hmm. So regardless of how that situation went, she's feeling a sense of like, it's okay.
Okay.
With how this went, and I'm okay with how this went.
Okay.
Did your mom have I don't know why she's presenting the sense of humor, but it's fun. It's a unique sense of humor. She's an interesting lady. Let me think how to put this. She's joking about being moody, and like, there's a reference to like, I'm one way this way, and then another way the next, but it's like dependent on the day. But she's not viewing this like a negative sense. It's more of like a self-deprecating kind of like a funny thing. Does that make sense?
Perfect sense.
Okay, so Moby's saying that's very specific. It's all on the Wikipedia article. We're not hearing anything that's actual, I guess, would be evidence, like maybe the phone number her mother had when she was a child, something that'd be really difficult to research, the license plate number on the car when he was growing up, something that's more factual. It would be harder to find, but it could be found, but it's nothing's there. So let me show you on the Wikipedia page exactly what I'm talking about. So under drug use here, it says here that Moby recalls that shortly after his mother died from lung cancer in 1997, right? And then right up here, early influences, he was the only child of Elizabeth McBride. So Liz, right there. Now, about the cancer scare or the cancer screening, well, he says lung cancer, usually that's cigarette use. It also doesn't, not always, but I highly, unless she was working in a coal mine or something like that. And being the era that this woman was raised, the 50s and 60s, cigarettes were pervasive, obviously. And as you read the Wikipedia page, you can see that Moby had a lot of issues with alcohol, drugs, and so on himself. So you just reading between the lines, lung cancer, even if it wasn't in this Wikipedia article, it's kind of a good guess. But it's right there. So we don't even have to go that far. But she was obviously a woman who didn't have a lot of money, reading through the Wikipedia page. And so this general statement that Tyler Henry is making about her not having, like there was a scan and then it wasn't the right scan and they told her it was a cold and all that stuff. Yeah, that's the medical industry. And his mother died in, his father died in 1967. So he was born in 1965. So his mother died, I think, in 1997. Let me see. She was about 45 or 50 years old, something like that. And so it was before he had achieved any fame where he would have been able to get, really, really top-notch healthcare for his mother. Yeah, his mother died in 1997. So he really struggled, and she really struggled raising him. I've cut out some parts in this video. You can look at him if you want to look it up on here in a minute. It talks about his mother having a lot of relationships with men and disappearing from Moby's life for periods of time. And that's kind of all inferred in the Wikipedia article, if you want to read into that a little bit more. So did you notice how Tyler was saying right? Like, so Moby would say something, he'd say, right. It's one of those subtle things you really don't notice, like the sound cues telling you when you should be feel emotion, that, a hit, boom. You miss that kind of stuff. It's just a subtle thing that we've been trained to see or listen for in our in our lives as media consumers. All right, so the last little bit is we're going to talk about is this last part is the stunning revelation that Tyler gives to Moby. I'm glad you're sitting down. If you're not sitting down, sit down. Because the video clips all say this is stunning with a capital STUN, that he's going to give him some revelation. Now, if you're a normal watcher of this channel, you have seen what what that might be. You might catch this. So let's see what you think. All right, let's go for the last bit.
There's one thing I need to kind of, this is, okay. Sorry, I just have to figure out where I'm going, because your mom's showing me white roses, and when I see those, this is interesting the way this is coming in. Grave. This is strange. Give me 1 second. There's a feeling of not wanting there to be a guilt about not visiting, but it's acknowledging like where I'm physically at, and there's a feeling of like there's no need. I'm not getting that feeling of like needing to go to someone's gravesite or anything along those lines. It doesn't come through in that way because I'm not getting a reference to a gravesite.
So she's, what was she saying?
Usually when they come through, they'll be like, okay, I know that you were at my grave, or I know that you were visiting my grave, but she doesn't reference to that at all. It's just like, this is not even, when it would normally be the case, this isn't the case.
Okay, everything else seemed, I mean, everything's been very accurate, but I don't,
No worries.
I'm so taken aback. That's not, because you won't, well, for what, I don't know, you're freaking me out. That's actually such a weird detail that it, I'm embarrassed of it.
No worries.
That I couldn't bring myself to go to her grave for about 17 years after she died.
Right.
And to the extent that I didn't even know where it was.
That's okay. Yeah.
I only went to her grave for the first time, like, about a month ago.
Wow.
So,
Okay. Interesting.
yeah. Because she was my mom, I worked under the assumption that she wasn't too troubled with me not visiting this piece of stone in the ground. I think she'd rather be remembered through creativity and through humor and through intelligence.
There's a feeling of it's okay for how this was handled.
Okay, good.
She's
Yeah.
so far removed from where her physical body was at.
Okay, that was a weird detail.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't visit my mom's grave for about 17 years until after she died. So there's no way, it's not on Google. Like there's no pictures were taken. There's no record of it at all. That couldn't, and I haven't even told anyone about it. It was when he mentioned my mom's grave. That one thing proved to me that what made me really believe that there's a lot of baffling legitimacy to this.
Okay, baffling legitimacy to this. Just that one statement. Wow, Tyler's good. He really got him good. All right, so I hope you noticed the music cues. This time, whenever Moby's starting to reveal that nobody should know this, and it's very emotional, and he hasn't even told anybody, you start hearing piano, like ding, 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 to make us feel that emotion. Also interesting with the voiceover afterwards, Moby says it's not on Google. There's no photos. So I wish he had said it's not on Wikipedia like everything else Tyler said to me. What Tyler said was a Barnum statement. A Barnum statement is something, it's a bold statement that sounds very specific, but it actually applies to almost everybody, or could be fitting in some way for everybody. Also, Tyler plays both sides. So Tyler said, you didn't visit the grave until recently. Okay, so about visiting the grave, if Moby had been visiting the grave all the time, then he would have taken that as, yes, I visited it recently. If Moby had said, I have never visited the grave, then Tyler would say, yeah, she's talking about how you never visited the grave, even though he has visited it in the last month. It could be kind of interpreted both ways, depending on how Moby wants to fit that. So kind of Tyler can't lose. Either he's sometimes visiting the grave, never visiting the grave, thinking about how he doesn't want to visit the grave, or thinking about he wishes where his mother was buried so he could visit her grave, or that he's always visiting the grave. All of those statements kind of fit into what Tyler said. And it seems very specific and very personal. But really, I think it's a statement that is just normal for most people who are interned somewhere. Now, it's interesting that he does say it's a grave, whereas, it could be ashes that are interned in like thrown into the water or something like that. Now, I haven't looked. If somebody wants to go look, you can find his mother's name. It's right there on the Wikipedia page, and see if Find a Grave exists for her. If it does, then that would say where she's buried and that she is buried. So, or interned somewhere. I mean, it could be ashes, of course. In my generation, I'm 62. My mother and her family from the South really are into graves. I mean, when you go back to visit your family, your living family, you also go visit the graves of people in your family. In some cultures, it's a whole culture of visiting graves. I mean, often, and leaving some sort of token. If not flowers, some people have parties, they have music, they have food. It's a big celebration. In Moby's world, I mean, I'm not the type that's going to be visiting graves, and my peers, my friends, are not really big into that, I think. And I think a young man who has a successful career now, or who struggled a lot with the issues that he did, according to the Wikipedia article, I don't think it's likely that he's going to be visiting his mom's grave. I mean, maybe. So it was just a statement that sounded very accurate, and it hit. Again, Tyler makes the statement and then watches the body language of the person that he's reading. And you could clearly see how Moby was affected by the statement he made. If Tyler had made that statement and Moby hadn't really reacted, it would be cut out of the video and we wouldn't be watching it right now. It wouldn't be such a big part of it. They would have picked other parts of the video to make a big deal of, or they would have stopped and the video would have been shorter and they could have pulled from somewhere else. Remember, these are heavily edited. Look at how many camera angles are on there. There's multiple cameras on them. So they can make something that is being said in one point look like it's said somewhere else. I don't know if this show is doing that, but it would not be difficult. And I've seen Thomas John's Seatbelt Psychic do exactly that. You have a close-up on one person, and then it cuts to somebody else, a close-up on them, and they're saying something, and it's actually happening at different times. In Thomas John, what we were able to do is we were able to look through the car as he's driving along in Seatbelt Psychic. You can see things happening behind him. You can see where he is in the car. You can see what's happening behind you. What is the buildings behind you? And you could see when it was edited that Thomas John is saying something, and then a close up on the people in the back who are saying something, and you could see that it's off by several minutes because of the way what's happening behind him. Check out my video on Thomas John if you're interested. On Right Turns Only. It's an article I wrote for Skeptical Inquirer, and I do have video clips if you're interested in how they edit these kinds of things to say something different than what is actually happening in real time. The multiple camera angles make it very simple for editors to do. So I want to have a little bit of empathy towards Moby. This is highly emotional to go through something like this. He may not have really understood what he was going to go through, and how powerful it is to get a reading from somebody who is supposedly communicating with the dead. That Moby's reactions, I think, are genuine, and that he's absolutely is stunned and at close to tears himself. And I think that's genuine. And yes, they have to, he isn't purview, Moby's busy doing his life as most people are. He doesn't have the time to come and subscribe to my channel and see what's going on and understand this. And again, I think it's important that we learn the tricks and how easy we are manipulated. I know I go to a movie somewhere and I'm crying. I know there are actors on the screen, they're reading the script, but I'll cry. The music cues make me cry too, and the storyline and so on. It's we're manipulable. We're easy to manipulate. Our emotions. We're human, and that is part of being, the people we are. So I can't monetize this video. So if you want to shoot me a 10 cents, I would appreciate it. Or give me a subscribe and share and see if you can get a friend, strong arm them to come and subscribe to my channel also. That'd be great. But I like to continue doing these kinds of videos, and I hope you guys find these interesting. Please leave your comments and everything that I have missed in the comments underneath this video. Hopefully I did hit record at one point. I don't want to have to do this a fifth time. And I'm sorry about the audio. I guess I'll have to do all the Tyler Henry videos this way to get around the fact that it is fair use, but I do not want to fight with YouTube over it. It's not something that it's fun to deal with. And I think leaving especially the music cues in there are important, because I think we need to point that out. Okay. So like and subscribe, leave me comments. I read all of your comments, and thank you guys so much for everything, for being here for me. Thanks.